people, I'm back, and I've been live a bunch of times this week. So this is my third interview. It's all thanks to Killer Hippie, who said do interviews of MMA Twitter people. So today we have the one and only Cage My IQ. What's up, Cage?
What's going on, man?
Just doing what I do during the week. So I got the lemon water in the Daisy cup. What do you got going on?
Just busy doing the podcast. Kids have football. Keep myself busy.
Yeah, and that's why I have right now. I'm gonna pull this off the screen, but that's you and you sent me today. Who's that? Who's a fighter?
Parker Porter.
Parker
UFC
Porter.
heavyweight.
Yeah, heavyweight. Big. The dude's got massive legs, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's him. That's you and him. And there's your Twitter handle there for everybody to see. I'll put that back up at the end for people, but I'm gonna take that down for now. But yeah, that is your stuff, and you take it seriously. So I ask everybody when they come on this question: what is your description of what we call MMA Twitter? Because it's a strange place.
Man, there's so many rabbit holes that you could go down, and I see it as a place to get all of my info from, like fight announcements, just fight columns. A lot of people posting a lot of things on there. You got the bicker and back and forth on if a fighter loses or not, if it's a controversial decision. There's a lot of crazy things that go on in MMA Twitter.
Yeah. I would say, and the product said, it is quick to get your info though. Sometimes it's there before it ever hits. It's not like NFL where they have a lot of news outlets. It's ESPN or Bus really, and MMA, the MMA Twitter community gets the news. They're faster probably.
Yeah, today I just found out that TJ Dillashaw is going to be out a year. So got that from MMA Twitter.
Boom, quick. Then I got this question for you because I know your kids play football and everything. And look, we're older, so there wasn't really MMA. I played a lot of sports, but there was wrestling and stuff. There wasn't a MMA gyms when we were young. So we're older fans. But what are your thoughts on these amateur fighters or these one fight pro guys that say that a person can't comment on a fight strategy if they never fought? Especially a guy who likes to comment on fight strategies. How do you feel about those dudes? Oh, I've seen it a lot on Twitter. Oh, you never fought. What do you know? It's bro, again, I'll bring up Bill Belichick, long snapper, comment all he wants on football. But what are your thoughts on people I feel recently it's been coming up a lot.
I feel everybody's they got their own opinion, You're gonna give it no matter what. I'll give the people that fight the more inclined answer. If they're gonna say something, I feel it's gonna be more generous than if me and you comment. I watch it religiously now, every week, and I feel I know a lot about it. But I'm sure there's stuff that I can miss because I don't actually train and fight a certain way. But it's anybody can tell if somebody's winning or not. I think when it comes to actually fighting and game plans, that's where I'll give it up to the people that actually do it.
Yeah, I mean, I would say that daily. I would say for a pro, yes. I'm talking about these guys that have one amateur fight and then they pull that card. I feel a real fighter doesn't pull that card. He doesn't care. He's going to say what he thinks about the game plan. He's not going to discredit somebody who has an opinion as well. I mean, there's people that talk stupid shit well, that pussy should have done this or call somebody's hard out or something, which is crazy. But I feel of course a pro, if Anderson Silva is going to give us a fight opinion, that's way more heavy than anybody that's watched. But I just think it's funny with some of these guys, one or two fights and that card comes right out of their pocket. It's come on, man. Anyway, so you you're really doing a lot with your stuff. I want to know how much time you legit put into this craft right now, Cage. What is the time element here?
I put hours into my fight studies. Every week I do the prediction videos. like I put a good amount into first. I'll do like just getting to learn like each fighter's fight style for every fight on a card. I'll get that down, and then I'll watch like 1 to 2 videos of each fighter to gain a little bit more of how they fight, like visually, and then see if the commentators give me any more info on it. And I did that for each card. Like right now, I'm probably almost done all of November right now with my tape study, and then I'll go over it again. But I would say probably 10 to 20 hours, which it sounds like a lot, but it really isn't when I'm saying it for like all of the for like a full month. I'll do 10 to 20 hours.
I don't know. I feel like you're underselling this, Cage. I don't know. I don't know if I trust you on this. All right, so we know I found out later on you do WWE or like whatever it's called now and MMA. What do you prefer really? And I think you're doing something else too. Are you doing baseball or football or something?
No, I'm doing, of course, MMA and wrestling. I'm doing that because I kind of put them together.
Yeah.
As like combat sports. Yeah, of course, MMA's, of course, it's not staged, but like my thing growing up was wrestling, and then with MMA getting to the point where it is now, that grew into my thing that I'm into like now. But then I do like Philadelphia sports. I'm in a podcast I do once a week talking like Philly sports. So, being a big sports guy, I do one on that. So like I got my hand in a few cookie jars, I guess you would say.
Yeah. Yeah, and it seems like you enjoy it. Now, what are your visions for your podcast? Like, because like I look at you compared to other people as for sure a crossover guy from like that. Yeah. Like that's it's a full-time hobby with the hopes of it being a job almost for you. Like I feel like you take it a lot more serious than me for sure, but like others like that, like kind of do it for hobby. Like, what are your aspirations? What do you like? Where do you see this going for you? Because like you put the time in, like you're really good with stats and all that, and your study. Like, where do you see this going? Like, what's your plan here, Cage?
The big part I like about it is the interviews. I really like that. I really like to get to know the fighters. Like I put a lot of my time into that. Like I just enjoy it. Being able to get to know them on a different level. Like you can watch them, but then when you actually get to talk to them and get to know them a little bit more, it makes you become more of a fan of them, and it makes you enjoy the sport a little bit more. Like if I could do something within that range where I can like interview somebody in person, that'd be cool. I'd be all about that. That's the thing that I'm on now is if I could do it in person or go there and like, how they have the guys go up and just talk to them for a couple minutes. That's where I'd be like, if I could work with like MMA Junkie or something like that.
Yeah. Yeah. I guess the interesting to have fighters are like, it's still early on within that sport, really, like as a whole, like, 20 years. And like, how the stars of like NFL, like or NBA, say like LeBron, like he knew that it was going to be a star at 12 or even younger. And like, all pro athletes, I feel like have some egos, but like, I think fighters are pretty humble when it comes to one-on-one, like talk. Cause like, it's a humble sport. Like they all lose pretty much. And of course they have like egos cause they're pro athletes, but I think we're still before they become like detached from normal people. Cause again, like, they're not driving Bentleys, a lot of them, like, unless they're like, Conor McGregor, they're closer to us regular people than like a Major League Baseball player that's guaranteed like 92 million is, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, yeah. And like the contracts are poor fights. So they're technically kind of like private contractors where they contract them, they go into the fight, and that's how they make their money. It's kind of constructed very differently, unless you're one of like the big names, and then they do you like on like a 5-fight deal, and you get guaranteed money for that, and then like each fight is like a different pay scale, and then it depends on pay-per-view. There's so many different factors into it, and one big thing with guys, it's like I say like the MMA now is kind of like the real life wrestling, WWE, where you got guys like Kobe Covington who, Bilal Muhammad, they project like this character of themselves because they know if they play a bad guy, they can make money off of it because you put a good guy against them, you get people to root against you. At least you're getting a reaction out of people,
right?
And you're going to get people to tune in. And the more people you get to tune in, the more money you're going to make if you're on a pay-per-view, because you get a portion of the buy rate on top of the, especially if you're in the main event, and like a lot of things depend on that as well. But it's like they need the fans to be tuned in. Whereas like in baseball, you do need the fans to be tuned in, but it's like you got so many games to play in baseball, basketball, and hockey for them to catch you on like a random night and to be like, oh, I like this guy. Whereas this, it's like one night, maybe every 3, 4, 5 months. You got to get them to catch you and get your popularity up because that'll help you get like a better fight. Just look at Khamzat Chimaev. He got caught because of him talking, and then everybody just gravitated towards him. And then within 4 fights, he's in a co-main event against Gilbert Burns, ranked 13, and then Burns is number 2. So
Right.
he got eyes on him. So it's all about doing whatever you can. So if you could get people to interview you and get yourself out there on a more personal level, people can kind of relate to you or like want to root for you or even root against you. Either way helps you out.
Yeah, and it's funny you mentioned Bilal and Colby, like, because 80% of the time their fights could be boring because they needed a certain opponent to have an exciting fight. Where that if they have a persona, then and that's what Floyd Mayweather did when he became more defensive. When he was Money Mayweather, he was knocking people out. He knew when he became defensive, he had to have a more of a persona. So
if you look at them two and a guy like John Fitch, who's in UFC, and then he got kind of ran out because he was born.
Yeah.
He didn't have a personality, but Colby Covington has a personality. Bilal Muhammad has a personality. Right. So it's like they might fight boring in a sense, but because of their personality, they can get by with that.
Right, and they do win too. Those two, I mean, like they do okay. Now, I'm going to do you a little different for the fighter questions here. So, who is your favorite fighter of all time? And then I'm going to do who is your favorite fighter you've interviewed. So, your favorite interview. Okay. So, like, do both of those. So, your favorite fighter of all time.
This is tough because, of course, you got Chuck Liddell, the Iceman. He's gonna be up there.
Yeah.
But you know what? I gotta go with the guy that got me into this. Well, I should say the two guys, because instead of saying fighter, I'll say fight. There's a fight that got me into this. This is the second fight between Lyoto Machida and Shogun Rua. That's the fight that got me into it. The second one where Shogun won it right before he wound up losing it to John Jones.
Right.
That got me into it. Like, I like them. I like Chuck Liddell. So, yeah, I'll say that.
Those are good guys. Good guys. Yeah. And then what about your favorite interview of a fighter, or like favorite interview you had?
There's two. First, I really liked when I interviewed, of course, John Anik.
Oh yes,
that's big time there.
Yeah.
Interviewing him, I loved everything about that one. And then recently, I interviewed Bubba Jenkins of PFL. That was great. Like, he's full of personality, but then he's also humble and down to earth, and he was cool to talk behind the scenes.
Nice. All right, so next question. Who's your current favorite fighter? Because the other guys you mentioned are pretty much gone. And then who would you – I'm going to double that question with who would you like to interview? Like, who would be like the goal for you to interview, like, right now? So current fighter plus – and it could be the same, I guess, but, it could be different as well. So who's your favorite current fighter, and who would you like to interview currently?
Current favorite fighter – that one's kind of tough.
It is tough
because it depends. Like it depends on like the different weight classes, the divisions.
I stumped you, Cage. Come on, Cage.
Probably favorite fighter right now is Kai Belayo. He just fought on the pay-per-view
Okay.
He's probably my favorite fighter right now. I just like his style fighting, karate background. He's killing it, moving up in the middleweight division. I could see him getting a top 15 matchup right now. And then you said a fight that I would want to see him do.
No, interview you'd like to have. Who's like the interview?
Okay, and then an interview I would like to have. There's two guys, of course. Belal Muhammad, because he always has something to say.
Yeah.
And I could get something out of that. And then my other one would probably be Henry Cejudo.
Okay.
All right. Controversial, man.
I like that.
Yeah.
All right, and then who's your least favorite fighter, either all time or currently? Like least favorite.
Least. I hate this. I was never a fan of John Jones.
Okay.
Because of his personality.
Right.
Like in the beginning, I did like him, but then when it got too big, like I stopped. Like I like guys that are just like the fighting, and then they don't let the fame get to him. I feel like it did, and he's only fought once in the last 5 years, so that's a big thing for me.
He's just an evil dude, though. Like he's just not a nice person.
I don't think I don't think it's easy to say this from the outside, but I feel like he doesn't get it because of all out of a UFC distractions that he has and like running with the law. That's just something that I don't like. I like a guy that is focused on winning.
Yeah.
You can be a little full of yourself, but be a little humble at the same time.
It sounds like you don't like somebody who wastes their talent. Because if you really look at John Jones, he's really he hasn't really lost, but he's wasted his prime on nonsense. Like we as fight fans, we've missed a lot of what should have been us watching the greatest fighter of all time.
Yeah.
Fight. And
he's definitely there. Like he would be
right
if he continued this. He would have at least 7 to 8 more fights under his belt. He won those. There's no question, but I feel like now there's questions with it because even though he's undefeated, he has 2 fights where he was doing steroids, so they kind of killed those. And then he hasn't been fighting the past 5 years, basically, except for one fight because of all that. Then moving up to heavyweight, which is taking him 2 years to get booked.
Yeah, it's always something with him. It seems.
Yeah.
All right. So my last question before we get to the rapid fire, Cage, with the rapid fire. The last question is, since me and you are old and we're not trying to be in these scraps, who would you like to see if there was another Twitter FC fight card? So like it was Funk and like Manolo and the coach guy. Like, but if you could put together a Twitter fight card, like who you throwing in there for like a Twitter FC right now?
Oh, geez. This is tough.
I mean,
because I'm not big into like really looking into these guys that are.
Well, there's Josh Noker. Josh is always hitting the bag. I wouldn't mind seeing Josh out there.
Yeah.
There's the suffering father. He's a big dude. He's like I like to see him in there, but like I don't know.
I'll go with them. I'll go with those two because I like when I look on Twitter, I kind of block out a lot of that stuff, and
you have to, or else you get
into
scuffles that I get into with these fools.
No, then that's like a black hole. You get sucked in, and then like it's hard to get out of it.
Yeah,
and then you forget about what you were doing on there to begin with, which for me was to look at all like the fight announcements and the rumors and just all that,
Yeah,
because I do a lot of that. Of course,
you're all business. You're all business, Gage.
I got to retweet onto my page and then get eyes on my product,
Yeah. All right, so time for rapid fire, though, Cage.
Yeah.
So it's gonna be about 25, 26 questions. You don't explain your answer. Just give us your answer. Are you ready?
Okay.
Are you ready? Are you locked and loaded, Cage?
I'm ready.
All right, ready. So we're gonna start. White toast or wheat toast?
Wheat.
Eagle Talon or Mitsubishi Eclipse?
Talon.
Yeah. Blonde, the kids don't even know what that is. But blonde or brunette?
Blonde. Actually, no. Brunette, my bad.
Eyes or smile?
Smile.
Target or Walmart?
Target.
I like that. Favorite planet?
Saturn.
Nice, pretty. Favorite Roman emperor?
Oh, jeez. Caesar.
Augustus or Julius?
Julius.
Okay, emperor number 0. Taco, soft or hard?
Soft.
Everybody says it. Favorite movie?
Favorite movie, I would have to say Broken Arrow.
Nice. Nike or Adidas?
I am Nike.
Favorite sport?
Soccer.
Korn or System of the Down?
Korn.
Favorite bad rapper? Don't give me a good rapper. So I'll give you an example on this one. Future would be like my favorite bad rapper, or like 2 Chainz. But like, who's your favorite bad rapper? Like a new rapper?
Well, I wouldn't say it's new, but I'd say a lot of people weren't into Petey Pablo.
That's good. Good bad rapper. Yes. Steak temperature cooked.
Medium well.
Dennis or Shab? I took off Jake Shields because he blocked me. So Dennis or Shab?
Shab.
Reese's Pieces or M&M's?
M&M's.
Best Austin Powers movie? 1, 2, or 3?
I would go with 1.
All right. God or no God?
God.
Snowmobile or Wave Runner?
Wave Runner.
Apple or Droid?
Apple.
Dentist or prostate exam?
Dentist.
Favorite animal to love?
Cheetah.
Favorite Twitter handle?
Twitter
handle. Who's your favorite person on Twitter?
Favorite person? I would have to say I'm going to go with, of course, with MMA, at Marcel Dorf.
Marcel Dorf, nice. Soda or water?
Soda. It should be water, but soda.
Roughing the passer or clean hit, Cage?
Clean hit.
Go hard or go home, Cage?
Go hard.
All right. So now that was the rapid fire. You made it through. It was a gauntlet, right? It's always tough. We're going to do a couple fight predictions real quick, just 2 of them before I let you go, because I like to get out of here under 30. And we're doing a nice job, me and you here. Kattar or Allen, and how?
Kattar by decision.
I actually picked that as well. Yeah. And then Silva or Jake Paul?
Unfortunately, Jake Paul.
How's that going to go?
I think knockout. And then I follow both of those guys because, of course, I watch MMA and then I watch wrestling. So I watch both Jake and Logan.
Right.
And they're just very talented. If you watch Logan in the wrestling ring, he picks up so fast. I listen to his podcast. Like, I just hear everything about Jake. And if you put more weight on him, that's going to be even better for him. And that's what he's doing.
Yeah. Well, interesting. Everybody wants to see him fall. But I don't know.
It's just like certain MMA guys, like I could see a guy in his prime now could take Jake, but like Jake is very good at picking who he's fighting. Like he's taking guys that are past their prime.
Yep.
And like now he's fighting a guy where he's very talented, of course, one of the best MMA fighters of all time, but he's more known for his leg kicks than he is his hands.
And he keeps his hands down.
Yeah. And later on in his career, he would get knocked out or he would get just hit and stunned because, just like you said, holding his hands down, guys that are quicker than him now are catching him. And Jake is very good with the combination, sticking ahead of the game.
Yeah.
And I think Silva's going to be too slow.
Oh man, oh boy! All right, so okay, we've reached the end. So hey, plug your stuff real quick, and then we'll let you run off to what you got to do. I got a bunch of man stuff to do, but plug your stuff, Cage, and thank you for coming on. When you're done plugging, go ahead, plug it.
Yeah, check my podcast, Cage My IQ. Of course, as he showed you earlier, I'm on Twitter at Cage IQ. Give me a follow on Twitter. Of course, I'm on YouTube. Just search me, Cage My IQ. I do a lot of MMA predictions for UFC. I just broke into one championship now that they're on Amazon Prime. I've been doing those events as well. I'm doing wrestling for WWE and, of course, AEW and New Japan Pro Wrestling. And I'm doing interviews. I just did Parker Porter. I got Chris Barnett coming up.
Oh, nice.
And in the next week. And then wrestling, I got the crown jewel Chase Owens from New Japan, part of the Bullet Club. I got him coming up in 2-3 weeks for an interview as well. So check them all out. Give me a follow and give me a comment.
Yeah, and again, just if you don't know Cage here, if I was like a guy on TV, I would want Cage to come with my info for me. If I was talking, Cage has always got the info. He's always got the stats. Check him out because he puts in the time. He said hours. I don't believe his low hours. He told us 10 to 20 hours a month. I believe it's 10 to 20 hours a week. Cage, thanks for coming on, another fellow Jerseyan. And by the way, we'll see if this weekend, if any of you guys I interviewed win the money that the Killer Hippie won. He won $24,000 on 11 bet parlay this weekend after I was on my show. So if you win some money this weekend, let me know. And so will Prada, because maybe
what was crazy was on the pay-per-view, I started out 10-0, and then I lost the last 3 fights because I had Jan. Actually, no. I lost the Jan fight, and I lost the Oliveira.
That's what I did. I went 10 for 12, and I lost the Jan and Oliveira. And I was like, I wish I could figure out a parlay of those 10 if I knew, I knew Oliveira wasn't sure about Jan. I thought for sure would win. So I went 10 for 12 as well. Yeah. And I was like, man, I should have put even if I put a 6-fight parlay in, leaving out, I could have probably done something because those were of those 10, a few were upsets.
Yeah, and I had to, and then for the Brady Muhammad fight, I had to take my heart out of it and use my head because I'm like, you got Bilal talking about Philadelphia, and then he's Chicago, and I'm like, I wanted to pick Brady, but I'm like, I don't think he's going to win. I just think that the wrestling was going to be too much, and of course, I think Brady does too much of the overhand strikes, and Muhammad could get in there and really hit him and take advantage of it, and that's what happened. So I'm glad I went with.
I have Muhammad. I got to say, though, I actually didn't even watch all those fights yet because I knew the results because of my 10 correct in Tapology. So I didn't even buy it. So I didn't even watch all the fights yet, which is kind of like BS by me. But I hate these early cards, Cage, as a grown man. It really pissed me off.
I honestly love them because it started at 11 and they got done at 4 o'clock. So I was like, it was golden for me. And then I was able to go about my day and then just hang out.
All right. Well, sounds good, Cage. Thanks for coming on. Big fist bump to you. And, one of my oldest friends on here, and you're my 3rd interview. And I will see you next time. All right, Cage?
Thanks for having me on.
All right, man. Take care.